111.
111.
111. No, today's not 11 or anything.
Do I?
Honestly, when's this going to publish?
Is it going to publish on November?
Oh my gosh, it is going to publish on November 11th. I'm not joking.
Oh my gosh.
It is October 2nd right now, but yeah.
Wow. That is.
Then it is 11/11 to you, viewers, or our tried and trusted viewers who are watching it on publication
11/11.
day, on release day. Wow.
Then it's 111. Wow. I mean, see, the universe just, right? The fact that things like this happened.
I made this table like what, 1, 2, 3 weeks ago or 3 episodes ago. And
yeah, but we don't plan for when the episodes will be recorded.
Right. I just 109, 110, 111, and then I just started on the date and +7 all the way down. Yeah.
The fact that these type of synchronicities happened just like shows you how beautiful the universe is. And nothing needs to be planned, executed, or altered if you're in alignment with yourself.
Right.
But this only happens if you're in alignment with yourself. You see how cleverly I'm transitioning into the episode topic.
Luckily, I feel completely in alignment with myself. So thanks for listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think from our last conversation, which we actually recorded only a couple of days ago, so it doesn't feel like it was that far away.
The AI conversation?
The AI conversation. Yeah. I wanted to extrapolate of why is that we would choose not to speak or not to acknowledge our truth, right? What causes us, and I think we've talked about this for the last 110 episodes, but maybe this is solely like what is the reservation behind speaking? And then what is like the outcome if you do? Besides the fact that this synchronicity is kind of like a blatant, like here's one of possibly pointless but very beautiful outcomes. Alignment of numbers. I mean, how beautiful is that?
Right.
I find alignment of numbers very, very beautiful.
I've been noticing more and more in the last.
It's hot today.
It is hot. It's burning my hand just holding the cup. I have to like sort of balance it.
Oh yeah, I left it cooking when I left, and then I came back, but I had it on a low heat. So yeah, you've been noticing alignment of numbers.
Yes, I mean more and more over the last 5 years or whatever. But yeah. Now it's just like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but the 111 on 11/11 is just kind of a
right.
Like there's this beauty and synchronicity in.
What's interesting is that
in life
is that was apparently right because it's the numbers go up one at a time and the dates go up, Tuesday by Tuesday by Tuesday. So that was conceived when we started it. If we had started it a week earlier, a week later, or Tuesday didn't happen to be the day that we randomly picked for release day, that wouldn't have happened. Yeah, maybe it would have eventually happened, something, but not that.
Yeah, but you could see this all the way back from more than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The conception
from 111 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or 100 weeks from then.
Isn't that crazy?
Right?
You know what I realized too? I used to do like channeling sessions all the time. And I would record them in batches. Like I would record 15-minute batch or like 2 hours worth of channeling, let's say, but in 15-minute increments. And then I would publish them out once a week. And I don't do those anymore. I don't know particularly why. But then I realized I've always known that I channel in here, but like the format of this channeling is completely different as opposed to like me intentionally sitting down to channel in a channeling chair and then have this 2-hour thing where I'm zonked out and I'm channeling, but I'm trying to have this like it just changed the nature of it. I'm not saying I will not go back to the zonked out channeling, but this in some way is like a transitory phase between that channeling and normal channeling. I say normal channeling.
Normal channeling.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anyway, so but I guess did you want to start off on why? I don't know. Do you have a what? What or why?
I think the what is like reluctance to talk about what's going on in.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's we have come across that, and then you actually have this tendency, but this is a larger tendency in all humanity. And I will be slightly sexist here by saying maybe women tend to not have this tendency.
Well, I think, like what it is.
But some women do.
Like, I think there's this idea.
No, but let's identify what.
Okay,
Identify what is it that we have, like where it goes down. Or do you want me to identify that? Set the stage.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I'll set the stage. Okay, so in the long run, I want to say this under the premise of the goal of self, right, is to open into all channels of your pranic flow, right? To expand your energy into the heart center, to function out of the oneness of self, right? Because deep down, we're seeking peace, we're seeking love, but that's what love is. The love is allowing ourselves to open into the pranic flow that is us. And once we reach that oneness with ourselves, we then feel at peace, or we then feel at love, or then we feel in the connection to wholeness, right? So piggybacking on the last episode, that oneness where it is at the essence of us is already there. Like that is already our baseline, right? But because we have piled up balonies on top, we don't feel that. And so we're constantly chasing something, but that chasing is simply us wanting to be at peace.
Right.
And that peace is also know thyself, like gnosis, right? Gnosis of self. But gnosis is simply allowing your truth to flow.
Right.
So that is kind of like the brushstroke of all esoteric knowledge wrapped up in this one paragraph.
Yeah, did it.
I did it. Did it. Done. Let's just get done. But that is basically, if there's an internal pull within yourself towards something, it's towards that peace and towards that knowing. And then that internal pull, basically, we are aware that we're being pulled whenever we're in a situation that causes us stress and distress. Stress and distress.
Stress and distress? Or stress and the opposite of stress?
Well, no, distress.
Distress.
But distress, distress.
It's still stress.
Am I mispronouncing it?
No.
Am I Ukrainianism? Is that because then I just realized it's the same word?
Stress and,
distress, like distress. Like,
yeah,
I have distress. But
stress is like distress is more of like a state. I guess stress could be a state too, but.
Distress. State of stress is distress. Distress.
Yeah.
I think I cannot pronounce that word right now.
You're saying it good.
Okay. See? Still foreign. Check. Still don't belong here. Check.
Still don't have a couch.
I went on the couch search yesterday and I did not find a couch that I liked. So there might not be a couch. But okay, so we are in when we're in state of distress, right? And we are aroused to like the stimuli, right? And we're reacting and we are having these like opinion or almost rage or anger or frustration, right? If we do not become aware of what that actually masks, it masks us not being at peace with the current situation, right? Like those are the two fields of being. Either you're at peace, right? And your nervous system is calm, or you're not. And when you're not, it showcases that you're not. And then it showcases that deep down, you don't want to be in the place of distress. For the most part, unless ... you have been in a place of distress for so long, and now you have become addicted to that state, and now you want to reinforce it because that's the only thing that you feel familiar with, that is known to you, that you want to keep it around you.
Right.
But deep down, your truth is you're just clinging on to that because now it has become familiar.
Yeah.
But in the long run, if you sit and admit it to yourself, you will actually still want to be at peace.
Right.
So that is like a slight detour that could exist. It does exist, but that is not what I'm talking about. In the long run, our system wants to be in status of peace because then the peace, we can open a heart. And in the long run, the reason why we're always searching for love is because we're searching for that space where we can have our heart open without any fear. And then the fear of the world causes us to close our heart. And so then we are in distress. And so therefore, then we are in influx. And so here we are basically, for the most part, most of us don't even know what all of this is. I kind of described exactly what needs to be done and how it's done. But that's the premise. Shall we even continue?
That wraps it up.
No, but so I said all this, but then now we're going to digest it into, we don't realize it. And we choose not to open ourselves up into the talking about what is it that distresses us. I already said why. And then actually even allow ourselves to register what is it that we're chasing.
Yeah.
Okay, so after I spit that out, translate.
Well, I mean, I know I have this tendency, and I've always had this tendency, and there's been this like, oh, if I've got something that I need to work on or process or deal with, I've always just been like, well, I'll just kind of like do that on my own. And I don't know if there's this idea of like, oh, I'm a man, so I've got to, go suffer on my own and do this type of a thing. Maybe there is.
But only now you're familiar that there's such a thing as processing how you feel.
Right. It used to be I would just go
not feel it,
not feel it, or just feel bad, or wallow in it, or numb it away, or whatever.
Or pretend like it's not there, right?
Or pretend like that. But again, still all on my own. Never talking about it was never really on the table. Right. But now it's like, I'll just, it's just a constant running, thread in my head of whatever it is that there's the current thing to process. Right. It's just always there in the background. And, to the point where, real life ends up reinforcing it with everything that I see. It becomes the new lens that I view reality with. But I just don't talk about it. Right. Is it helpful for you not to talk about it? No, it's not helpful for me not to talk about it. This is not a productive tendency. This is more of a self-sabotaging, self-destructive tendency. I see, because talking about it is the most helpful thing I can do for anything.
I mean, some people tend to be a little bit more internal, right? Like, oh, I when something happens, I go internally, or when something happens,
I do that. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so I know you tend to be that, right? But it is because of your upbringing that you couldn't even bring up a conversation.
No, I mean, I can trace it to that. Absolutely. That's very clear that, yes, it's historically as a child, like there was no point in bringing something up because it would be dismissed or ignored or gaslit away or whatever. So I have trained myself to, that doesn't work. So I don't do that. In fact, talking about it makes things worse. So, or makes me feel worse, at least. So, right. So I've lugged that with me to well into adulthood.
Yeah. So maybe this is what is being addressed. Depending on how we were brought up, each one of us was brought up, would then dictate how we deal with influxes or even processing of what is it that it causes us to have an influx, right? So your ability to, one, emotionally regulate, two, even realize that there's such thing as emotional regulation, three, realize that this is hitting some sort of trauma or pain or uncomfortable situation, all depends on how we have been preset in the past of how we deal with stressors.
True.
Right? True. Now, in my case, and it does not apply to the fact that I grew up in Ukraine, Soviet Union, but maybe slightly. But I think there are people in the United States who grew up under the similar brushstroke of circumstances, even though they don't place Soviet Union, Ukraine in their bucket, right? I grew up under circumstances of the life was hard. I perceived survival as
not guaranteed.
Lack of food, lack of money, crumbling infrastructure, no resources. And so talking about things wasn't a priority because you were busy surviving, right? So that is the mindset at which I grew up with. Now, you don't have to be actually under the circumstances that there's no food, right? in your case, you're not that much different because you're just trying to regulate your nervous system, right? So basically what happens is, as a child, whenever you go into influxes of unsafety, which happens to all of us, as children, whenever we feel unsafe, right?
Yeah.
We have to start to basically learn how to calm our system down in order not to feel unsafe without any regulation, right? Our nervous system has to find a way to calm itself down.
Right.
And when we feel an emotion, then goes not being addressed, such as fear or scarcity or abandonment or not love or whatever. And one, we don't even know the definitions to put on it. Like, oh, I feel scared and overwhelmed. But right, as a toddler or as a baby, you're not able to talk. Or even as a toddler, you're not able to talk. You don't have the baseline of this set of definitions.
And you may not even know exactly why.
Yeah, you just feel this influx.
Scared. Why?
You just
I
feel
don't
this
know. I'm
influx,
scared.
Right? So because you cannot place a definition because you're too young or unable to speak or whatever, you learn to start to regulate without acknowledgement. We're just like get into this loop like, oh, there's an influx. Oh, I'll just numb it off in order to regulate my system down.
Right.
And not in a healthy way, right? So the repetition of us, like, we're in our 40s. So enough of us are in our 40s and people in their 50s and 60s. This is just a brushstroke example how all people function, is to go into the cyclical nature of influx, don't bother addressing what it is, numb it off. Influx, don't bother addressing what it is, numb it off, right?
Yeah.
And we never, for most of us, like if somebody grew up with a parent who was a psychiatrist or therapist and who was able to sit down and go, well, how is it that you feel, right? Everybody makes fun of that situation. But that is what breeds a healthy nervous system.
Yeah. Because when you just, have an influx, numb it off or ignore it or shove it down or whatever, it doesn't really go away. It deposits in your psyche into this bucket of poo that just grows and grows and grows over time.
Yes.
And it just, eventually it will explode.
Yeah.
In some, whether that's disease or some sort of fit of rage or an accident or, or stroke, whatever it is, that is, we've watched a lot of stuff that all reinforces this. And I firmly believe it. That is the cause of most of the problems in most people's lives is that they have this giant bucket that they're only adding to.
Yeah. If they're not acknowledging, they're only adding to it.
You're only adding to it. And you've been adding to it since the day you were born.
Yeah.
And you continue to add to it because when you feel bad, well, whiskey makes me feel better.
Yeah. Or working makes me feel better. Exercising makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Just anything to numb off, to keep yourself busy, distracted in order not to feel it. Because as a child, you set off a pattern as feeling equates to unsafe, more unsafe, because I can't even actually put a label on this feeling. So therefore, numb it. Push it away. Numb it, push it away.
Depending on how you're doing it, meditation meditation makes you feel better?
Yeah. Some people even use spiritual aware things.
Oh, church makes me feel better.
Off,
Praying makes me feel better.
Yes.
But what all those, I'm going to say, wrong ways to deal with it have in common is that you're never feeling it.
Mm-hmm. You don't acknowledge.
You don't acknowledge it. You don't feel it. You don't admit that it's there. You don't admit that you know what? I do feel bad about Bill at the office, to bring him back. And he makes me angry and I feel angry. And you know what? It's okay to be angry. And I feel angry. Yeah. And actually just feel it. Let it flow.
Well, actually acknowledge the emotion.
Right.
Acknowledge the emotion that you're actually feeling so you can actually get a chance to start going into the stuckness.
Right.
That you don't acknowledge.
Right. And if you sit with it long enough, you'll realize, oh, Bill at the office makes me angry because, you'll dig down, well, that's how I felt as a child. Maybe I had a brother who did it or a parent who did something, whatever it is, there's something in your childhood that, the person next to you in the office, Bill is unbothered by Bill, even though maybe Bill's doing the same thing because they have a different flavor of trauma. Something else would set them off and you wouldn't even notice it. Yeah. So tracing it down to childhood helps, I think, to let stuff out of that poo bucket. Yeah.
But let's go back to why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, and talking about it is another great way to let stuff out of the bucket because especially if you have someone good to talk to someone that, whether as a therapist or you, because you're good because you won't let, I don't know, slide. So I have to really, really think about things. You really forced me to think about the why behind everything.
Yeah. And my approach to things has been the why, right?
Yeah.
So to begin with, before, and I say it's my approach, but this is just, everything I think that we have talked about and came about and how we have been healing and feeling has been guided by this general, I think, grace of my higher self, or grace of just like, I don't know, ascended masters, or just the prime directive of here's what the goal is for humanity. And to get there, here's how you do it. Right. So I'm very fortunate. I think we're very fortunate because most people don't have that I have, and then don't have this, like each other, to bounce things off of. Right.
Yeah.
And in your case, you don't have me to basically be a control freak and make you responsible for things you don't even want to be responsible for.
Right.
So in a way, I push you.
Yeah.
Maybe in the wrong way, maybe too much. I don't know. Right. But because to me, you're not going to like this, but like the accountability that I have and the drive that I have that comes into me in order to do this and to accomplish this, right, has this, prime directive into an outcome. And even though you don't have that drive, the only drive that you have is the desire to please me. And so therefore, through that, right, there's a sketch that I have into you in order to have you.
Right. No, I've seen it. It's an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, but that is how it started. It started with, because your pain body was not being loved, you held on to this and stuck with this because of that.
Yeah.
If your pain body was not that, you would have said, fuck this, I'm walking away. This is too much and you're a crazy woman. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think I would have.
Yeah. And same thing on my end. My thing is learning to trust people or being able to trust people, but I can't trust people unless I can feel that I can trust them. And so on you, I felt it was imperative for me to fix you or change you, right? Because that way I can trust you. Do you see what I mean? So both of us were fucked up in just the right way, fortunately enough. I mean, I think this is beautiful, to where I was sticking with you because I love you, but at the same time, I don't trust you and I need to trust you, so I need to fix you. And in your case, it's like, well, fuck, if she doesn't trust me, she doesn't love me, I need to make this shit work.
Yeah.
And so we were just the perfect enough of explosion.
Perfect for each other. Perfect match.
To stick through it. But the reason I say that is because it is very difficult to stick through it.
Yeah.
It is very difficult because at each point, the reason why we don't talk about it is because it makes you feel more like shit than you already do.
There's very much an idea in my head that if I talk about some problem with you, that like concretifies this problem in your mind as something that is wrong with me. And
Still so?
And therefore,
or used to be?
It definitely used to be. I'm sure it's still there to some degree.
Oh, you think so?
Probably. Because it's like, oh, look, let's talk about this because this is an issue or still an issue or whatever. So then it's like, oh, well, then I know, or I think I know. See, I just said that you would view me in some sort of lesser light and therefore you would love me less.
Okay.
So there is a hesitancy in me to talk about these things with you or anybody really, because it's like admitting that I have flaws and problems.
Okay.
And so it isn't even, I mean, I'm sure to some degree there's some sort of like ego thing in there, but more than that, it's that you or whoever I would tell would look at me in some sort of judgmental or slightly negative way. And it isn't, but that's not where it lands. It lands, and then they will like me less or love me less.
Yeah. Okay. So
right.
Love, go back to love.
Right. And so in a sense, it would be easier to tell someone that I don't care about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, most people like talking about to therapists or to random strangers on the Omegle.
Right. And it's like, okay, well, you're being paid, Omegle. You're being paid to to judge me, right? That's the deal. I'm going to tell you all my shit and you're going to, I say judge me, but you're going to, tell me what's wrong and tell me how to fix it. That's the agreement. So that makes it easy. Or you're a stranger in on an airplane or something. I'm never going to see you again in my life. Oh, let me go. That would be easier than telling you, the closest person to be in my life, because I don't want you to have more things that, that I view as wrong with myself, because therefore you will obviously view them as wrong, and therefore you will obviously have a lesser opinion, and therefore obviously you will love me less.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But ... At some point you have to ascend enough higher in your awareness to realize none of this is true and it's just a projection. At the same time, my thing is not true and it's just a projection.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
There's that.
So sooner or later you can start to see through your own bullshit.
There is the stage in the middle where I'm like, ooh, if I tell you or tell someone some vulnerability, right? Then it flips and that makes me look better, right? Because, oh, he's being open and vulnerable or something.
Oh,
right?
Really? Wait, what? Have you done this to me?
I don't think so.
There's a new way I cannot trust you.
Wait, there's a new way I can get love? No, but that's crossed my mind. That's crossed my mind that like I in a sense I could completely flip this on its head and but that's harder to sell myself than it is
because it's obviously manipulation.
I mean, I don't know that I'm not sure I'd be able to manipulate myself into making that work when the other when telling you is clearly dangerous and telling you is being beneficial is far from guaranteed.
Well, no, because you know that with me, my trigger is unsafety and so therefore mistrust. And so if mistrust is the trigger and you tell me something that causes me to feel unsafe, therefore you think if I'm triggered enough, that will go into mistrust, therefore I'll go into pushing you away. That's not love. Right?
Right.
So it's such a obvious progression of this elementary school level of behavior.
Right.
But
it is like kindergarten interpersonal dynamics.
Yes.
And it is not a conscious, oh, well, if I say this, she'll think that. It is not at all. It is just this.
But it goes programming.
It goes from A to Z, just like that, with zero thought. It's just like, oh, I just have this feeling that talking about something will be bad or dangerous or scary. So we just don't do that. And that's how it's always felt. Yeah. And that's how it still feels. So we just don't go there.
Well, to some extent, think about this. In your case, you're an example of kind of more of how most of the people will view their trauma or refuse to view your trauma. Anybody finding anything out about themselves or revealing anything about themselves that is deeply uncomfortable to them, right?
Yeah.
Would in turn have that person that they're revealing this to, the listener, have an opinion. And if you already feel like this thing within you is yucky or like lesser than, or makes you look bad, or makes you look weak, or makes you look like whatever, then naturally, without any awareness, you would just project that same outcome to the listener. You don't even know how the listener would interpret, but the truth is, because you already predetermined what those words are, you would interpret the listener interpreting them the same way, as opposed to the listener would go, okay, that's a neat story, but whatever.
Yeah. No, we all just, I mean, I do. And therefore I assume everyone else does. We just assume that everybody else thinks and feels about the same way we do. Yeah. And has about the same opinions we do, unless they've directly said otherwise. So if I think that whatever is yucky or bad or whatever, or embarrassed or whatever, then clearly if I tell you or anybody else, they will obviously think the same thing. Yes. It is, of course. How could it possibly be any other way?
Yeah. Yeah. So with me, this is just an FYI, like this is how it progresses in the relationship, right? To a net stranger, you think that whenever you say something that is vulnerable, that makes you look like a shifty person or a bad person or whatever, they will think that, but you're okay telling it to them because you have zero attachment to them continue to like you or love you, right?
Well, See, with me, I wouldn't say 0, but it's lower than,
Okay, lower.
other
right.
yeah, right.
Lower. But to me, it would be 100% dangerous because to you, I am the most needed person to be loved by because you and I are in a love-hate relationship, right?
Sure. I thought it was called a marriage.
Yeah, sure. And so that is more threatening, right?
True.
Right. But whenever somebody spends enough time building awareness, right? Now, when I receive information from you, I see how it would go threatening. Like I see how this information in the past would hit me so hard and it would be so threatening that I would implode on you or simply shut away from you and back away from you, right? Either run or fight, whatever. Now I have this like in between, like pause state that feels fugish, but that's a whole other conversation. And so in the past, depending on my state of nervous system, I would either be triggered to fight with you, not like physically fight, but you have known my arguments before, or just simply walk away and be pissed off. Right. And then like not talk to you for several days until I like process what the fuck just happened. Right. So those will be the two things. But once you spend enough time becoming aware of how you receive other people's triggers that are in fact your own nervous system triggers, like your information in truth has nothing to do with me, right? You telling me something that is even relatable to me, like, oh, I think you're blah, 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 has actually nothing to do with me. And the only thing I'm interpreting is the trigger that this information that you are relaying to me about me is causing me to have. But in fact, I guess I want to reinforce this. Those are completely two different worlds. Like you are on your own earth and I'm on my own earth. And your earth has nothing to do with my earth. And you're simply like Morse coding some sort of message to me from your earth to my earth. And I receive the Morse code, but I interpret it based on my language. And then it gets translated into my earth field.
Yeah.
But your earth field did not communicate that message.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to realize that the communications between two human beings is actually not honest or accurate as long as you're receiving that communication through a pain body trigger. Right. And I know that's weird to think about, but it's like, you communicating something in one language and me translating it from your language to my language, but something is lost in translation.
Right.
But that loss in translation is your pain body communicating what you're communicating. It passes this filter to where your earth ends, my earth starts, and then my translation is my pain body.
Right. It's not me talking to you, it's my pain body talking to your pain body.
Yes.
To me, through my pain body, to your pain body, to you. And it's this game of telephone type thing.
Telephone,
broken telephone where what I'm saying, you're kind of hearing it, but at the same time, you're looking at it through this lens of like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, maybe, to begin with,
maybe I'm saying how it makes me feel, and then you're interpreting how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm upset at you, and you're upset at me, and there may not even be a legitimate reason to be upset for either of us.
Yeah, right. But like my field of interpretation is my unsafety realm, and your field of interpretation is your unsafety realm. But they are vastly different realms, right? Like your unsafety is different than my unsafety. By design of the fact that you are Elliot experiencing Earth 2.0 right now, and I'm Tanya experiencing Earth 2.0 right now. And my set of experience and circumstances and definitions, even though we have been in this love and hate relationship for, 2 decades now, is completely different. Even though we live in the same household, share the same experiences, have kids together, and do shit together. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And even do pain body healing together. Right? The more we talk, the more I think we realize is we have always had 2 different conversations.
Right.
And we were never having a real conversations because you were over there, blah, blah, blah about your pain body. And I'm over here, blah, blah, blah about my pain body. And we're not on the same page.
Right. And yeah, right. And we would interpret each other's blah, blah, blahs in, or at least I I don't want to speak for you. I would interpret your blah, blah, blahs in my own deeply personal ways that often would poke at mine.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would make me feel worse about me or worse about you or whatever. That it's not, that's not even what you were saying originally. Is the funny part in all this is that, you're saying something that is bothering you, right? Okay, I'm bothered by whatever. Or even worse, I'm bothered by something that Elliot does, right? And then I interpret that as, oh my gosh, she hates me. She doesn't love me. I feel like a piece of crap. Now I've got to go out of my way to fix it, all this stuff. That's not what you're saying. You're just saying, hey, clean up the dishes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the dishes need to be cleaned up, not because of anything that has anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But to begin with, before any awareness, if I were to say a statement, right? And I think, so this goes back to an example that we just had happened. We should go ahead and pipe that in, right? To where in the past, one of my big triggers was unsafety and somebody behaving, I say in the past, it still is obviously because I'm still here living in this life. But I'm more aware of it now, right? So one of the big triggers that I was completely blind about is somebody functioning in a specific way that is counterintuitive to normal human behavior, like brushstrokes of social norms, or brushstrokes of safety, right? So like you not picking up a heavy box for me, even though back then I was able to pick up heavy boxes, and right now I might still be able to pick up heavy boxes. And so there's like a physical threat kind of sort of, but it wasn't physical, right? It was like, oh, this human being behaves counterintuitive to how all beings behave, such as they would help their wife with a heavy box. And this one doesn't. ... It's unsafe because like the baseline functionality is not safe.
Now you can't trust anything.
Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see where it registers?
No, I see that. Yeah.
Right. And so then I'm like, okay, so just like the baseline of normal human operations 101 does not exist. So then I'm like, fuck, what the fuck am I dealing with, right? This is the internal dialogue of clusterfuck, right? And then I'm like, oh, this is totally unsafe. Like, not only like the baseline is not there, like this is below the baseline. And so the unsafety is then triggered, right? So in the long run, I want to feel safe. And so then the wife in me who wants a husband to pick up heavy boxes would then go, well, okay, if nothing else, I just want him to function at the baseline of the social norm where men pick up boxes for women. Do you know what I mean? Because in the long run, that will make me feel safer because I would perceive you somehow fitting into some sort of array of the baseline normal, right?
Yeah.
And that's the trigger, right? That's the trigger.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. I get that. You described it very well just now.
Yeah. So that is the original trigger. Right. And so I wouldn't say anything to you, right, in the past, but I would register it, right? Because this is already an active deposited non-moving density in my body. I would notice it, but like I'm not, right? The goal is for me not to change who you are. I'm simply reading who you are, right? Do you see what I mean? Like my goal was always that. Like I want you to realize who you are, but my goal is not to change you. So I would never say like, oh, hey, start doing normal man behaviors because it will make me feel safe. At the time, I would have said, start doing normal man shit just because this is a normal societal shit to do, right? Do you see what I mean? But the truth, if I were to tell you that 20 years ago, it would have been start doing normal man shit because it makes me feel unsafe.
Is that what you... I mean, were you acutely aware of that, or were you just like...
I was acutely aware that it made me feel unsafe. Not unsafe. I was acutely aware that it made me feel like I did not have something that I wanted.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'm there and I'm crying over the fact that I don't have something that I want.
Right. ...
But I'm never spending time.
You're at the surface level.
At the surface level, I'm crying because this makes me feel not unloved. In the long run, I might have said, okay, well, unloved. This is just not love. Like normal men carry heavy boxes for women. That's what love is. But that would have been a wrong interpretation. So at the time, I was just crying because I did not have something I wanted.
Right.
But I would have convolutedly
carrying the boxes fixes that.
Right?
Right.
But the truth, if I went back in time right now, it would have been, I'm crying because I don't have something that I want. And that want is somehow related to love, even though it's not love. But in the long run, if I had any forethought into awareness, I would have said, oh, it doesn't make me feel safe. It makes me feel unsafe that the human being who I am around is functioning outside of all social norms. So I'm already at the lesser than that, even the baseline of normal.
Yeah.
Right. And so therefore, I'm just crying. It's a child inside of me who feels unsafe and is crying, right? Hence the crying. And that was it. It was deposited there. And so I never said anything to you until my back got so bad to the point of like, okay, well, now this is not, I don't have what I don't want.
Now it's actual physical unsafety.
No, I wasn't even that. I'm like, I'm just not even able to pick it up.
Yeah.
So when I eventually bothered to say, hey, can you pick up heavy boxes for me? It was not this trigger. It was like, I am just not even able to pick up boxes at this point. Like quite literally, it will sit there because my back hurts now. But that's just like, in no way did me saying that actually would have made me cry. Like, because for me to say that to you, like, hey, can you pick up heavy boxes for me back when we first got together and I was triggered by that, would have made me cry. And I would have not allowed myself to feel vulnerable enough to say that to you, because it would have made me cry, because it would have made me realize I'm in the position where I have to say something to you that because I feel so unsafe. And admitting to that unsafety made me would have feel even more vulnerable and even more unsafe. I would have never said that. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So it's a very convoluted, fucked up way of why I would have never even bothered to fix you, because in the long run, it actually makes me more unsafe. And verbalizing to myself that I feel this unsafe and I have to say something out loud was counterintuitive to how Tanya was functioning back then.
Right. However, saying it would have probably...
It would have opened the wound and I would have been bawling.
But saying it would have probably been very effective because, my goal would have always been, oh, well, this will make me feel more loved because now I'm doing it and whatever. So it's a surface level, it probably would have worked.
Yeah. It would have worked. But like, I didn't want you to be something that you were not. But at the same time, I was actively upset that what you were, what I was defining you as, was not loving me and unsafe.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So none of it actually logically makes sense. Boxes have anything to do with love, and love has nothing to do with boxes. Me crying has nothing to do with you. It's my own earth.
Right.
But that is when you don't interpret your earth and the triggers that facilitate your influxes, that's how the world looks like. Boxes not being lifted is threatening. It makes me feel vulnerable, makes me feel unsafe. And if I don't have that conversation, if I don't acknowledge that to myself, which I never did, right? Like I just pointed out something else to you that hid the exact same thing and I was crying about it still, right? Because that is what I'd never actualized and processed, is that vulnerability of even admitting to myself that I already feel that is vulnerable.
Right.
And I want to point that out. A lot of times we don't speak because even speaking means you have to admit it to yourself that you feel that.
There's that too. And that's a big part as well.
Is that for you? Because I know it is for me.
It is. I mean, it's like a different category of it. There's the...
Is that more real category? Like more authentic?
There was more of that in the past. There's less of that now. But there was a lot of in the past, I knew stuff deep down, but there's this idea that if I don't acknowledge it, admit it to myself, certainly say it out loud, certainly tell somebody else, then I can skip the point where I manifest that into reality. And that's just, it stays an idea instead of reality.
Yeah, but the truth is, it is
reality.
It's actually a center block of truth. It's like, and it keeps on growing.
Right.
What we're not verbalizing is actually more real and more of our truth than anything else that we're pretending like it's not, than the thing at the center.
Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a counterintuitive way of thinking. We're thinking that not saying something is actually going to make us safe, but it's the thing that it causes us to be unsafe.
Right. It's the, what is it? The ostrich that sticks its head in the sand. Do they do that for real?
In the Warner Brothers cartoons, they do.
Right. It's like, well, I just stick my head in the sand and then, now they can't see me. Now the wolf can't see me. It's like, well.
I always enjoy whenever they stick their hand in the sand. I guess it's kind of like a yoga position in a way, right? Like, but like, because in the cartoon, their butt feathers would go up and like their tail, like went up and just like the angle movement of that essence, like changed the perspective of energy.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed the shot of that.
Uh-huh.
And just the feathers, I guess I have a thing with feathers, not dead feathers, but live feathers.
Yeah. So there is a very real sense of like, if I pretend it's not there, then maybe it's not there. Maybe it's not real.
Because it hurts to go there.
Maybe that's not who I am. Maybe that's not who they are. We'll just box this off.
Maybe that's not who you are. Like, maybe I'm not that broken.
Right. I mean, depending on what it is, it's like, if it's about me, then maybe, if I don't think about it and I don't admit it, then, I'll just pretend it's not. Or if it's about you, then I'll just pretend it's not. And we'll just don't bring it up and, just, conceal, don't feel.
Yeah. The idea that not saying things will keep us safe, right? Because in the longer run, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. The
only reason you will not speak is because you think you're somehow going to be safer than you are right now.
Right. Well, there's some, I have in the past done some sort of mental cost benefit analysis of like, okay, do I talk about something? What, how could that go good? How could that go bad? Does bringing it up, right. I've done that. Right.
Weighed against, I get more or less love at the end?
It's all driven by that. It's all for me driven by love, which, is a proxy for safety to me. Right. I've absolutely done that.
Yeah. But
very, very deliberately, like, do I bring up the issue or not?
Recently or not?
No.
Oh, okay.
And
recently you decided not to talk about
it. That's better or worse.
No cost benefit analysis.
No cost benefit analysis. Right. I don't know if it's better or worse that it's been extremely deliberate before. And
you're like a very logical engineering person. Right. So to you, to design a cost benefit workflow, a little
flow chart of it, like what are the odds that this conversation will go positive versus negative versus however shitty I know it feels to keep it to not bring it up or keep it inside or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, see,
no, I've absolutely done that.
I think with you almost have it. I don't know if it's better or not. Like, this is not a comparison because your world is obviously completely different from the world. It feels threatening regardless of the right. Yours feels as threatening as mine is, even though mine flavor is completely different than your flavor, right? Your flavor, right, is, will this make me feel less loved, therefore unsafe, right? And you don't go into unsafe, but less loved. And that's where you kind of like, even subconsciously did not know, but in the long run, you know. With me is, will this make me feel more safe? But nothing would ever make me feel more safe if it was already felt unsafe. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So through this like very fucked up loop of my false reasoning, I would not know the action of saying something out loud that make me cry and make me feel vulnerable is by default unsafe. So by default, right, like entering into unsafety was more unsafe because I realized that unsafety is what it will trigger, right? Like me being vulnerable is unsafe. So not that there was a cost benefit analysis on my end, but basically internally vulnerability equals unsafe. But I'm already unsafe, so vulnerability unsafe is more unsafe.
Right.
So then that's definitely a no square.
Right.
So like self-manipulation, you don't allow yourself to get to the core of where the energy is stuck.
Right. I mean, that's where it goes, is that it ends up, it's stuck. It's this big a box of poo that, like, as long as you pretend that it's not there, then, okay, well, I'm familiar with this pain and it's bearable, but okay. But if I were to open that up, oh my gosh, who knows what that's going to be like? So we just don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, the truth is, if you open it up, you can actually start to, air it out.
Is airing out the goal?
I think airing it out is the goal. You can start to, release the poo stink.
The poo stink.
It's a box of poo. Poopay. I mean, this is all very, very, Jungian. The box of poo is your shadow. Opening it up is your integration. Know how much you love Jung.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously there's some sort of reason why I don't know.
Because that makes you feel unsafe somehow.
My tenacity to get to the core of how you reach enlightenment came out of unsafety. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So like, because I felt unsafe, and because I developed this, communist go-to way of like powering through shit in order to survive, that within itself, a convoluted gift, but it was a gift to stick through something that is difficult.
Right.
And so because that is difficult, when it came time for me to do the shadow work and to realize what is it that I'm actually doing to myself, all these belief systems, even though they're painful, I realized they're painful because I'm refusing to acknowledge them. But once the pain hit in, when most people would back away, with me, I realized, oh, now they're actually unsafe. Do you see what I mean? So like the narrative actually flipped. Like there's no point in keeping yourself unsafe. I realized that it wasn't that I was unsafe, and then the tenacity was to pretend like it's not there and to battle the unsafety. Then I realized, no, I feel unsafe. And now the tenacity is overcoming yourself in all the ways you have numbed yourself off from feeling unsafe. So like the narrative switched, do you know what I mean? And instead of going out away from unsafety, I went, no, now we're going into the unsafety.
Right. No, that's
But that turn is what's difficult. It's difficult to first realize that you're going away from unsafety and pretending like it's not there. Then the pause, you have to have enough inertia to pause. With you, the pause was, fuck, my wife is going to leave me unless I pause. Like, unless I reverse the cycle and start going backwards, shit is not going to happen, right? So you were still triggered enough about the site and safety to where you were able to pause over here. And then once you flip the narrative, when you start going backwards, it's basically swimming against the current. And when I say that, that is how difficult it is. But the truth is, it hurts. Swimming into your pile of shit hurts like hell.
Yeah. It's so not the normal response.
Because you've been running away from your pile of shit.
Because we have trained ourselves that running away is the safe thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm not saying we're cowards. That is just has been a neurological systems development and how you survive, right? The positive psychosis episode is this.
Right. I mean,
you've been numbing in order to continue to function.
I genuinely wonder if that is, instinctual, like baked into our DNA, or if that is somehow taught or learned societally. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I believe everyone, or almost everyone, the vast majority of people, that is their default state. It was mine.
But, that's humanity.
I still have to kind of fight that from time to time and go, wait, no, that doing this feels safe, or at least feels less unsafe. But in thinky brain, I know that is counterproductive to the larger sense of safety.
Yeah. So the swimming away from your pile of poop, and then at some point registering just enough to go, wait, this is completely counterproductive towards well-being, towards peace, towards love. You have to reverse this process and start chugging your way towards poop against the current, your own current, right? That's really difficult.
I heard this thing on, I think it was the Robert Rodriguez podcast, and he used this analogy, and it just reminded me of you. That what he does is he's like, basically, I'll set the bridge on fire and then I just run across, and it's like there's no going back.
Yeah,
right?
That's my approach to things.
Yeah, I'm like that is you.
Yeah. But right, to me, right, I was struggling. What was I struggling with a couple of months ago, or like over the last, since January, I've been struggling a lot. So what are we in October now? But yeah, this year has been a huge struggle. Going to right, once you start swimming towards the current gets stronger and stronger the closer you get to the poop, right? And so as you're swimming, to begin with, you're like dealing with little things. You're like, oh, blah blah blah.
They're called floaters.
Sure. I'm not sure. Why do we have these analogies that we come up with that are always some sort of poop related? Why is there always about poop? Anyways, I don't know. Whatever. We'll just run with it. I mean, last 2 years have been poop related, so why not? So sure, the float. Oh my gosh. Anyway, why can they not be like flowers or butterflies or rainbows? So I just always poop. At least it's not Hitler, right?
That's right.
Okay, so as you're swimming through the floaters, all right, like they're easier to address because they're far and few, right? But the second you start getting to your own center of deceit, where you're really hiding, like the flow is really strong,
right?
And it's dense. My gosh.
My mental image of this is not pleasant.
Right. But think about, maybe it's funny in a way, but it is truthful. Who wants to swim into their own current of shit, right, knowing that there's a huge pile of it at the end where you're not even swimming at this point? You're just literally walking through the dense muck of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That metaphorically, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And so for someone to say, yeah, this is the path that I'm choosing, would be like nonsense and insane. Like you would actually go, wait, why in the heck would I ever choose this? But that is the way to self. Like, right. I hate to say it, that is the way. First, realize you were swimming away, like in clean water, in pretend clean water, but honestly, it was contaminated because it was flowing out of your, poop septic tank. And so you've been swimming away, pretending like it's clean water, but it's just contaminated, right, with these little bits of pieces of poop. And then now you have to basically, you reach the point where there's actually a turnaround. There's like a sewer main, and you can actually start going backwards into your poop. And when you make that choice, you have to start swimming against the current.
I think everybody gets a lot of those choices. It's almost like the little eddies choices. Eddies or
in the river.
In the river, where it's like a little. Oh, okay, well, you hang out right here for a little bit. You can decide. You can decide to keep going downstream, or you can decide to keep going upstream.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get dysentery from this analogy.
Well, I'll wrap it up. So that is basically that is the mental mindset that you're actually facing, and how terrible it feels if you have a problem with poop. I guess I'm placing judgment here in the sense that, like, a sewer worker probably has no problem dealing with poop, but I don't want to swim in the river of poop. But the truth is, we're all swimming in a river of poop.
Our own poop. That's the
that we control, we design, we hold truth. And then over here, we're pretending like we're not.
We keep around and we protect even.
Yeah. We're pretending our power.
Yeah.
So the reason why we do not speak and we don't verbalize our truth is because if we're going this direction, we're pretending like this is not the case. And the little bacteria contamination here and there is not going to hurt anybody, right? But the truth is it's eating away at your system, right? Like your intestines are on fire, your skin is irritated or, dry, whatever. And all the medical conditions that we have swimming this directions actually present themselves.
Just downstream.
No,
along with the poop.
Along with the poop. Actually presents itself against the dis-ease, like that we create when we don't acknowledge the fact that we're swimming in our contaminated river of poop.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're having health issues, that is grace of the universe giving you little taps of going, oh, hey, look, this place has stuck energy and this place is contaminated and this place is contaminated. And it will first start to show up in specific areas of your body. And again, going back to Louise Hayes and Cannon.
Dolores Cannon?
Yeah, but
her
daughter.
I don't remember her name.
Right, whatever, yeah. Let's say it's not Sally.
I was going to say Sally, but
is it Sally Cannon? Whatever.
Sarah?
No. Whatever it is. Dolores Cannon's daughter wrote a book called Soul Speaks, and it's about how disease is basically literally your soul speaking to you of all of these things you're contaminating and where you're holding stuck energy.
Right.
And so instead of dying from cancer when you're, bacteria contaminated 60 years down the road, you can get these little messages along the way of where you have sicknesses, where you have inflammations, where you have body issues, and start to address them by going, by reversing this current and start swimming towards your pain body. So swimming, get sick along the way, have these little incidents along the way, accidents along the way, whatever it is, that is universe giving you little and then depending on where you choose to exit, you could die from that and never realize that there's such thing as this turnaround point and swimming backwards into discovery. Or you have some sort of coming to Jesus moment where you go, okay, fuck, that's just not going to work. I'm going to die unless I continue that way. When you brought up Baskin Robbins' son, right? That was like when he talked to his dad who was dying of cancer, and the doctor said, hey, here's this book, and I think it will save your life. And that was his son's book. That was coming to Jesus moment. Right. That was tied into fixing a relationship. It wasn't, with your son.
This thing's going to save your life. It was like, here's a book. I know this is going to be hard for you to implement because it's basically stop eating ice cream, stop eating red meat, completely change your lifestyle that is horribly unhealthy and move toward this, natural type thing and, maybe meditate and do whatever was in that book. And, here's a, 60, 70-year-old.
You realize it's not that.
Man that has always lived with this mindset in this way.
Well, it's the mindset in this way, but the doctor giving the book was to mend the relationship with his son.
He said that the doctor didn't realize that it was his son.
No, universe.
Oh, yeah,
universe.
Okay, yeah.
Universe gave him that book from his son in order for him to heal the relationship with his son, which was actually the healing, right?
And he actually lived for a good while after that.
Yeah, he said, you have 6 months to live, but if you maybe start implementing some of the shit, you can give yourself a couple of more months. And that book was his son's book, but implementing some of that shit is healing the broken relationship you have with your son that is actually killing you.
Right.
The essence of not having love or rejecting love in very specific ways kills people.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so to him, ice cream or no ice cream, that was killing him. Right. And ice cream was just a representation of that because diving into ice cream equated to not having a relationship with your son. Right. Because he chose ice cream in all the terrible ways that what it does to people and how we treat the animals and the production of it and all of that versus awareness into harmony with nature, harmony with animals and his son. Do you see what I mean? His son represented right choices, not only by yourself, but with the world.
Yeah.
And you chose not to do that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, if there's an influx there might be something that you need to explore. Right. And so once you reverse the current, the world gives you all of these opportunities. When you choose to reverse the current, the world actually gives you all these opportunities. So everything that comes at you when you chose to reverse the current and start swimming into your pile of poops, is an opportunity to discover what pile of poop is being stimulated whenever you're swimming towards it, right? Because the sooner or later, when you get to the center, it just basically explodes and you're at peace and your heart is open.
Right.
Right. So what we're talking about is we're obviously not at the explosion and the heart is open.
I think it's a flush.
Sure. It's a flush and the whole system's cleared out. There you go. But we're still swimming towards our own poop.
Right.
But you can, as you start to dissolve, so maybe it's like mini flushes, because it feels like as you're swimming towards this poop, the pranic force gets restored more and more and more.
Right.
And you see the benefit in addressing these stuck energy points.
True. You get, better at swimming.
Yeah.
Right. You still got a ways to go. And there's still probably more and more floaters coming down the river. But it becomes clearer that you're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because your pranic force starts to open up.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like you're starting to see yourself and touch on this higher self of you that knows love, that sees love, that is love, right? The peace, like you start to find peace, right? There's more moments of peace. There's more moments of love. There's more moments of like honest tranquility where you know yourself and you're one with the world, right? The universe gives you grace to where you start to touch on all of those things and you realize that is what you wanted all along. There's nothing there. There's no money there. There's no structure there. There's absolutely nothing. There's this eternal peace bathed in love. And it is not to say that then that becomes the goal that you chase. I'm kind of referencing back. That just becomes your isness. That becomes the essence of you. This is not something you reach. When you clear everything away, when you clear off all of this poop, that is the isness of you. That has always been you. That is always your center. That love, that ever expanded notion of reality and oneness and peace and tranquility has always been you. You just been buried it under piles of poop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piles of poop. Talk about your piles of poop. Talking about them is a great way to go upstream, because it just I don't know. It clears it out. It forces me to really solidify what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking.
Well, if you think about it from the larger standpoint, when is not admitting to something that is actually your truth a good idea?
Right.
Like if you said, I think if you say to the child, like, hey, that block is blue, would it make sense to think that block is green? Like a toddler will go, no. They're like, why would we make something what it is not?
Right. But it's like you feel angry. Does it make sense to pretend you don't feel angry and not admit it to yourself, not talk about it? That seems less obvious somehow.
Because it's threatening.
Right?
Right.
The block being blue or green is not threatening.
Yeah, but we have to realize.
But I feel angry. I feel scared or whatever. Admitting that feels threatening.
But we have to realize that the reason why we do not do not choose self-care and self-love and self-awareness is because somehow we have deemed it to be more threatening than acknowledging how we feel. But that's not true. Like, I know it feels threatening, but in the long run, because we made it seem like it is, right? You talking to me about how you actually feel might seem threatening based on your pain body of Tanya will not love me the second I say that I'm a piece of shit. But that is your idea that when you tell me this, I will think you're a piece of shit.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? That is your world projecting yourself onto my world. But my world is a totally different world. I'm not saying you saying something that's not going to strike my pain body, but you have to acknowledge what I will say to Tanya might trigger her pain body that is different than mine. But regardless of what Tanya will do with her pain body, it is still my responsibility to acknowledge me as me.
Right. Because at the very least, at least that's, honest and above board. Otherwise, it's, it's right. It's you're lying and deceiving yourself. You're lying and deceiving everybody else.
But like, you're deceiving yourself, which hurts the most.
Right.
Like, yes, lying and deceiving everybody else is one thing, but where it really hurts is the truth is in that lie of deceit of everybody else, you're actually lying and deceiving yourself.
Right. And you're
killing yourself.
You know it internally. You know it. That's the biggest piece of poop in the bucket of poop is you lying to yourself. You deceiving yourself because
this whole line is you lying to yourself. The whole poop bucket is you lying.
Yeah.
The whole sewer poop system analogy is just you lying.
Right.
And when you start swimming towards the poop, you're finally going, okay, I'm down with my own lies.
Yeah. All the poops are little lies you're telling yourself. And you're like, oh gosh. And, and you see those and you're, at least with me, they all make me feel bad about myself because A, I'm lying to myself. That feels bad. And B, whatever the issue is,
it has been buried.
Feels important enough to be lied to myself about in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's scary or threatening or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Well, because you have trained yourself to think that facing that issue is more threatening than acknowledging that it exists. Right.
Yeah. Right.
More threatening than acknowledging that it exists.
Yeah. Right. To acknowledge that it exists is super
threatening.
More,
you perceive it to be more threatening than and just addressing it.
Yeah.
It's safe to pretend like it's not there.
It's much safer to pretend like it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
neither of us can figure out how to word that.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think I said the right thing, but I said the right thing with double negatives, like two negative statements, as opposed to how it actually feels is how it doesn't feel. I think that's what I did. I mean, obviously, I said it that way on purpose because energetically it makes sense in order to unravel that.
I think everybody understands what we're trying to say.
I don't even understand what I'm trying to say half the time.
Head toward the poop.
Yeah. Right. This is interesting. This came up, but anytime we have any kind of like workshop or like an event, and I come across a lot of women, and I don't know if this is applicable to men or not. So maybe you can weigh on that in your masculine take. But a lot of women who are become aware that they have been swimming along with the poop and they're at the pivotal point of self where they are willing to turn around and start swimming into their shadow in order to start unraveling everything that they're not, right? When they reach that point, most of them, and this is really strange, who have a relationship and who have a male in their relationship, basically almost have to face the man rejecting them in their choice to start swimming backwards in order to like, so they come to this vortex of choice, right? And they're like, oh shit, I cannot continue down this denial bullshit path because I'm killing myself. Like it feels like I'm killing myself, right? And then they come to this point of vortex of choice. And then they have to, and if they're married and they're with another man, they have to almost choose to let go of that man in order to be able to swim backwards and unravel their own truth.
Right. No, I mean, we've heard many, many instances of that.
And so part of the system is you have to stand your ground with those who are around you who will reject you in this quest into unraveling your own shadow or reaching enlightenment or reaching peace or finding yourself, really finding yourself.
Right.
And you have to say, it is okay for me to let go of everyone who is not okay with me
being me.
Right. But it happens in that little vortex of choice.
Right. Because it's like you've been living your own lie, and there is a very real fear that the only reason that these people are around me is because they think that I am this lie. And when I'm like, actually, no.
Turns out this is not me.
This is me, and this is different from that. You might lose some people. Very likely will lose some people.
You will lose people because those people are holding on to you, being stuck the same way you have been stuck your entire life.
Right. And because they're stuck in their own way.
Yes, right. But there's this determination into your choice to say, yes, I know this is going to suck. One, for me. But two, this is going to piss off a lot of people around me because they do not want me to be different. But I have just realized that the way I have been is not me.
You just can't do that anymore. There comes a time and it's like, I just can't do that or be that person. Or that just, it isn't me. It never really was me, but I was pretending, for
a very long time.
Any number of reasons.
Yeah.
Sure, it felt safer. Sure, I knew you liked it or it made you happy. any number of reasons.
Yeah.
But I just can't anymore. Yeah. No, I don't, I'm sure there are men who that's happened to, but I have heard many, many women, both in person and anecdotally from you and on shows where that has happened.
You and I had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like our relation, whenever I had my slap in the face, and then eventually I went like, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
you did the same thing. You balked at me and went, wait,
right.
Can I be with this person?
You were upsetting the status quo.
Yes.
And I was very, very content in the status quo.
Yeah.
And not only is it upsetting the status quo, it's upsetting this. It does so in a way that I recognized, oh shit, I'm going to have to kind of do this too in order to, I've got to swim up Pooh River as well.
Yeah.
And so it was doubly threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the reason why, if there are women who are rejecting men whenever men decide to change the current, which current they're swimming and start to finding themselves for who they are, the reason why I think it doesn't happen as often is because women in their intuitive knowing are more connected to the self-deceit within themselves and then within the world, right? Like, so we are more intuitive to functionality of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's easier for us to pause and admit, wait, I have lost myself than it is for most men.
Right. No, it's really threatening. It's threatening to the ego. It's threatening to, everything that is known and safe. I think women would have an easier time going, all right, let's do this. Let's do this together than a man would in general going, what? You're not the person you're no longer the person that I fell in love with, married, got with, whatever.
Yeah.
So done with you, on to the new model.
Yeah. But right. So And it is okay to choose, for a man to choose not to stay with a woman when she chooses a journey of self-acknowledgement
Sure.
and self-awakening, if you do not feel like you're in alignment with her change in lifestyle, her change in action, if you cannot be there to support her. But it is also okay for a woman to recognize this man is not ready to be there for me, to support me.
Right.
And chances are this is going to be upsetting to this relationship as a whole.
Yeah.
Like in my case, you decided to go on this road,
Right.
maybe by force or whatever, right? But you went on your own spiritual journey of awakening to where you spoke to the universe, and universe communicated what this actually is doing to you.
Right.
And so when you decide to stay with me, knowing, the roller coaster ride that's going to be on, you did not know exactly, but you knew this was going to change everything.
Right. We, while not completely in sync, like the weird lifestyle changes that ended up happening, kind of like they happened to both of us close enough. Like at some point you're like, yeah, alcohol's just not working anymore. And then you're right. It's really not.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. At first it was the Sober October, which I don't even know why I suggested that. I was like, for some reason, I'm like, well, what if we just don't drink for October? That's crazy because we've never gone, more than like 2 days without drinking. And that really, I'd recommend that to anybody, taking a month and not drinking, because that really it really illuminates your relationship with alcohol. And then at the end, we just felt very different about it. A, B, dropping meat out of our diet, right? You started doing that, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't think it's working for me either. And it took me longer to do that, but right, it happened to me right there with you, right after you, whatever.
Yeah, but you get to make, like, what I want to say is, spiritual awakening, if you have a partner that does this with you, doesn't look like both of you are forced to do the same things together.
At the same time.
Right.
It's not like, okay, it's now, here comes Tuesday, we're no longer drinking and eating meat together.
Yeah, like, right. You're making your own decisions and I'm making my own decisions. And then you can like look at the decision that I made and go, wait, does this actually register with me? Is Tanya's intuition also kind of like intuitively registering with me? Right? The milk thing was yours. I was okay having cereal, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, we're not having, like, I don't think I can have milk anymore.
Yeah.
I went like, okay, yeah, I don't think I can have milk either. But then that ... put me to where like, oh, we were cereal, like cheap ass American cereal heavy for lunch. Like we don't have breakfast, but we had lunch.
That's probably been what, 6 months? I've probably had 5-10 bowls of cereal total over those 6 months. But
now anytime I have it, it doesn't even register. Yeah. Like it just doesn't work anymore.
Right. When you don't have eggs, but I could have eggs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I cannot have eggs. But that's my thing. But if you're going to go and we're going to travel, you might get eggs. Yeah. And I just won't get eggs.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is it is very much a flow, going back to our poop analogy, into what works and what does not work. And my thing does not have to be your thing. And you can be intuitive with your decisions and I can be intuitive with my decisions. And my truth can be different than your truth, right? Like there for a while, I was on a huge kick for, there you go. After you decided to stay with me on this journey and we were on this journey for a while, we had another like deciding point snap where I believed in extraterrestrials and like existence of other species other than humans, right? And you had another one of those like, whoa moment, this is pushing my boundary, right?
Right.
And then instead of me arguing with you or trying to force my beliefs on you, I said like, this is my truth. Please figure out why this is triggering for you, right? And then figure out what your opinion is. because this does matter to me and I feel energetically it is correct. ... Partially maybe because this was, again, the threatening of my status quo of unsafety. Right? Obviously, that's what it's hitting. And then you had to make your own opinions.
Right.
But it was threatening to you for a completely different reason than it was threatening to me.
Right. And so it's like, you don't have to be at the same place as each other. But it helps if you're both at least going in the same direction.
Well, same direction.
Upstream.
Of deciding to honor yourself in your truth.
Right. And
you have to honor yourself in your truth.
Right. And then once each of you are actually being yourselves, only then can you really decide, okay, now that I have an idea of who I am and I have an idea of who you really are, does this still make sense? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because it's like, the worst thing you can do is be in a relationship that doesn't serve either of you.
Yeah.
And, you're just going to, hate and resent each other. And it's just going to, that'll kill you too.
Yeah. Our relationship before that was just resentment. Like I was all the ways you didn't want me to be. And you were all the ways I didn't want you to be. And in the long run, there's no love. One, we don't know what love is, let's be honest. But true is there's just resentment. It's not even a neutral. It's not positive. It's not even a neutral. It's a negative. Right? The resentment just keeps on adding on and piling on and piling on and piling on.
No, there was some psychologist who he would like either record or watch. He would bring in couples and he would put them in a room or whatever. I'm sure it had like a glass window or something or a camera, and he would watch them interact. Okay, here you go, talk about your day or whatever for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever. And he could like to 90% accuracy predict if they will still be together in 5 years or something. And he's like, what is it? And he's like, is there contempt or resentment between them?
What's the difference between contempt and resentment?
I don't know exactly. Resentment, I think maybe resentment is about something and contempt is just in general.
I thought contempt is like you don't give a shit. Like you have checked out. Like resentment is like, oh, I wish you lifted heavy boxes from you, but you don't, and I resent you for it.
Right. I think contempt is more like, I just don't like you for you.
It's not like I just don't even give a shit anymore.
I think that's resignation.
Oh, okay. Should we Google what contempt is so we know what this is? I think that's resentment is like, I wish you were this way, but you're not. And so but I don't verbalize it to you. But even if I verbalize it to you, you don't do it. And so that just builds even more resentment.
The feeling that a person or thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. So
like after you had enough,
not even hatred, but like strong feeling of disdain, disrespect, sense of superiority, viewing them as worthless, inferior, deserving of scorn.
But after enough resentment,
it can lead to contempt.
And that not changing the status quo in the relationship, you just like dismiss them and you go, oh, fuck this shit.
Right.
And you were already at like, fuck this shit.
Yeah. And you'll be checked out.
You're checked out. You're basically checked out.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the third word that you said?
Resignation.
Resignation
is kind of like I've given up. But the
contempt actually has like hatred in it.
Yeah, contempt is like a
resignation plus like meh.
Yeah. It's an act of resignation is more passive, I just give up, and contempt is fuck this shit.
But I give up.
Not necessarily I give up, you can have contempt for Hitler, I suppose, and just be angry or whatever. I don't know. It isn't necessarily angry. It's just like, it's not a good thing. And so, yeah, if he could detect any contempt between either of them, it's like, yeah, this is a goner.
But think about this. If you stayed with me after I went on my spiritual journey and awakening.
Right. And I fought that.
And if you state, because I said like, this is what I am, period. I'm going to fucking talk to animals. And if I want to tell people what their animal is afraid of, this was an animal psychic type of a situation. This is going to be me, right?
Yeah.
Like I will be embarrassing you, period. That's basically what it came down to. The trigger,
yeah.
right? And you then had to go, fuck, can I be with somebody who's actually embarrassing me all the time? Right?
Yeah.
I'm still embarrassing you all the time. Right. But like, to me, then that is me being me. It's not that my goal is not to embarrass you. My goal is just for me to be me.
Right.
And that just happens to be very socially and not normal than how the rest of the people function.
Right.
And you found that embarrassing because look, he's with a crazy person. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Right.
And to me, it wasn't that my goal was to be socially abnormal. My goal was just for me to simply choose me.
Right.
And it just happens to be very abnormal.
Right. No, yeah. If I couldn't accept that.
Yeah.
Accept that about you, and in the end accept things about myself, then that would have absolutely built more and more resentment, which would have led to contempt.
But me being me, which is socially abnormal, and then therefore others judging me being crazy, would have meant like, oh look, by default you're associated with her, therefore he's crazy, and then they would have hit your trigger of therefore he's unlovable. You're unlovable because you're crazy, because by proxy you're associated with this crazy woman, right? Mm-hmm. So that is what you were actually rejecting. You were not rejecting me. You were rejecting what this was going to do to your own safety.
Yes.
So when the man rejects a woman for her choosing her path, he's not rejecting the woman. He's rejecting of what this change will do to his own safety.
Right.
Right. And do you see what I mean? So when men make that decision, they're not even realizing why they're making that decision.
Right. No,
or just find this unsafe because they're refusing to process their emotional standing. They don't even realize why they're rejecting this woman.
There was someone who we heard the story of, and she started down her path, and her husband was like, "Wait, you're not going to dye your hair, and you're not going to use makeup anymore?" Because she had decided that is just not for her, and I don't remember what it was, but that was a big deal to him.
Did he leave her?
I don't remember.
Right, dye her hair and use the makeup. I mean, really.
Right. And so that was important enough to him for whatever reason that was a big deal. I don't remember how that story ended, but I very acutely remember the woman telling that story.
Yeah, I mean, I have stopped dyeing my hair. I mean, I still do a little bit of makeup, but not much. I've stopped shaving, so
I noticed
you get to experience all kinds of new things, but. Right. But if that is threatening to you, right, then you have to ... go, is it actually threatening that she does not do makeup and hair? Or does she look like shit? And then I'm no longer attracted to her. And if I'm no longer attracted to her, why is that threatening? Right.
Right.
Or do I need to be someone who's hot? And if I need to be with someone who's hot, then what? Right. It's not just that. It's not like I need to be with somebody who's 30 years younger than me. Right.
Right. I need the social validation of being with someone who's hot or something.
Or I need with someone who's hot. Therefore, my status is good. I'm trying to reach like extrapolations of this. Or if they're hot. So I look good. My status is good.
I feel better about myself.
I feel better myself.
Right. It's like, I drive a Ferrari and I have a hot spouse. Right. And now everybody looks at me and goes, "Oh my gosh, I wish I was him."
Maybe.
And so now everybody envies me, and that makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah. Right. So none of it is substantial if we had to be adults about it.
Right.
But because we're not adults,
very, very surface level trivialities.
Yeah, but if we're being adults about it, the truth is you would go, well, it's not about the car, and it's not about the Porsche, and it's not about the hotness, and it's not about the hair, and it's not about the makeup. What is it that it makes me feel when it's not the case?
Right.
And the whys, when you use my little why trick, you will go, why? Deep down, you're just unsafe. That man is unsafe in some way. And this is his trigger point.
Right. Now, if everybody else envies me and thinks that I'm awesome and wants to be me, then maybe I can convince myself I'm not a piece of shit. And maybe I am actually worthy of, I am good enough.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. But not having a not hot enough wife is the surface.
Right.
Is the surface solution.
Right. That's the way to pad it out.
Yeah. But that just means the second this one expires in her shaving and the hairs and the makeup, you have to find the new model.
Right. Because guess what? People get older. Wrinkles happen and gravity happens.
Shut the fuck up. Gravity's happening for you as well.
Gravity happens for me too. Right?
Yeah, right.
It just happens to be contained.
Yeah, but at the same time, I say this, but think about this in the long run, that man will never be satisfied with who he has besides him, because the second the old version is outdated, there's always a new model.
Sure. New model of car, new model of, lady.
Yeah. But which is, like, oh my gosh, from the judgmental standpoint, you go, okay, well, he's just a fucking asshole. But deep down, what the truth is, that man needs to have a real conversation with the person who's able to help them to go, what is it that you're looking for? Why are you unhappy with the old model? Right? And if he's able to open his heart and be honest and start swimming even in the rough direction into the pile of shit, he can start to unravel that piece that he's searching for, that he thinks the new model of wife or car will bring him.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Like, yes, it looks like, from the judgmental standpoint, it looks very superficial. And like you place judgment on that man going, okay, well, there's the trope right there. Right. But that trope, I think, is actually a very easy fix because it's very obvious what the problem is. Like you don't have to.
That's one of the more obvious surface of, like, the whole concept of a trophy wife.
It's a very obvious solution.
Or so, I was out. It was on the weekend. Maybe Saturday. I was running. I was coming back from across the road, and there was this brand new yellow Corvette convertible that had stopped at the light. And there was he was young. I don't know.
He was young?
He was young.
Corvette?
But it was a white man. But he was youngish.
Obviously,
I mean,
so it's a white man.
Probably early 30s. And he had
balding?
I don't know, because he had on a matching yellow baseball hat.
Well, that means he's balding.
He didn't look like he was balding. He looked
all the Corvette people are balding.
Or white hair. Or white hair. Like the idea is, like, if it's a Corvette, there's a white man in it, and he either has white hair, gray hair, or he's bald. Anyway, he had on a matching yellow hat. It was the exact same shade of yellow as his Corvette. And I'm like, he went into the Corvette store and bought that Corvette and bought the hat. And it's like, this match.
It probably came together.
Right. No, but he was coming to the stop. Like, he's just, Corvette was very important.
Right. But so I think those are great, like because they're so surface level obvious that you don't have to start swimming into the piles of shit all that much in order to start to unravel. You're still possibly even in the bacteria contamination, like floater once every 10 miles area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are very easy to fix.
The master level thing is that it at a certain level, having a Corvette, having a Ferrari, having a Ford Pinto doesn't matter. You can be the most enlightened person.
Or having a furry wife.
Having a what?
A furry wife.
Furry wife?
Oh, wait, furry in the sense of hair, not furry in the sense of a furry.
Of a Therian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Or that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You can have your Therian wife next to you in your Lamborghini and be the most enlightened person in the world, and everything can be completely kosher. Or it could not be. And it really just depends on why you're doing it. Why, I enjoy driving, maybe driving a little fast and driving a little, hard not to say furious there, but spirited driving. I've always liked spirited driving. I find it very, very entertaining and fun.
Yeah.
Right? Does it matter that people see me in a whatever car? Not so much. That's, I want a Porsche 911, not because I want to be seen in one, but because I think that would be endlessly entertaining to drive. That's at least maybe a less bad version than I want one so that people see me in it so that maybe I can feel better about myself.
Well, endlessly entertaining to drive ... because somehow it relates to freedom, or what is it heading anything at all?
I could see it being a freedom thing.
And
I could see it being,
but that would still be hitting.
Yeah, maybe I could see it being an experience thing too.
But you have a thing about dying without having experience, like fulfillment of life. Does it hit that?
I do. No, I don't think so. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's completely kosher, but it's, at the very least, it's not so everybody can see me and then I can feel better about having it or not having it. I don't think would change how I feel about myself.
Yeah. Well, but then also safety. Do you see what I mean?
Right. If anything, that's less, me behind the wheel of one of those is less safe.
Well, no, but
for everybody on the road.
No, but if your shtick is, if I have all of these life experiences, therefore I'm living my life. Deep down is the trauma or the shadow there is, I feel like I'm not free and I'm not living my life because I feel like I'm trapped. And if I feel like I'm trapped, that feels unsafe.
I can.
You see what I mean? Like,
I know
there's a way to go there.
It absolutely used to be that, because my desire to have some ridiculous car right now is so different than it used to be. It used to be that. And it still wasn't so people would see me in it so I'd feel better about myself. But whatever I would get out of it back then was definitely less kosher than whatever I would get out of it now.
Yeah. Well, but you think you had a whole thing with love. So like, is this status association with love or not really?
No.
No. Money? Like, because sometimes it's money related too.
It's not money. Because I know the money, you would need money to get the car. Well,
but it's not money.
Or a loan. But no. Right. I know the cars that I want happen to be expensive cars, and right.
Well, there happen to be old cars.
They are, right.
They're just old
older
cars.
Yeah, but like, unfortunately, the prices of those have gone up.
But like, they're old based on the stuckness of the dream you had from when you were first shopping for the car. Do you see what I mean?
They are of the era of when I was. Well, actually, they're before that.
Yeah, but you conceptualize the dream of that car when you were first becoming into car age.
Right, and that's still like, if you line up all the 911s ever made, I'm like, that one back, in the 70s, that's the one that I think looks the best. Yeah. Is it the fastest? No.
But
is it the best? No.
Maybe explore if there is still a trapping of energy there, right? Like, the state of being you were at when you were shopping for the cars, when you decided to be an adult and shop for cars, and what it meant. And in your case, if you feel trapped in your house, then car could have possibly meant freedom.
Well, at that point, yeah, sure. Late teens, early 20s, a car equaled freedom.
Yeah.
And especially a car that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
As opposed to a car that I didn't like.
Or were given based on clutches of not freedom. Right.
Right. My first car I got was
so you were
not at all what I wanted.
What you got was not something that you wanted, but your pain body is not getting something that you want from your parents. So your Ford Tempo was just an extension of getting something you don't want. So the second you were free to buy your own thing, that was disapproved by your parents, that was a rebellion into movement of freedom,
right? Because
otherwise you were not free. So then your assignment to freedom then got projected onto the 911 of that specific model, and you have it stuck as a symbol of freedom.
Freedom? I don't know. It might be. I'll have to think about that.
But you have to explore it, right?
Yeah.
Because even the positive thing of like, oh, of course I'm a man, and of course I'm attracted to 67, 911. 67. And so therefore, right, like, but but research that frame and see what it actually hits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's see if there's any trap thoughts just in that concept alone. Right? Because sometimes the trap thoughts are not in a negative, like, oh, this is arousing me in a negative way and I'm angry or frustrated or want to do something about it. Sometimes it's even the positive thing. So like, oh, the dream of the 9/11 of blah, right? I think it would be trapping there. Or like the dream of the hot wife. And that one's a little bit more obvious, but I don't know what I would have from, oh, there you go. Crack cocaine, right? Not crack cocaine. I will say,
condensed,
the sweetened concentrated milk boiled into a caramel form is a crack cocaine term that I use to describe it. But because to me, it exemplifies abundance. Mm-hmm. Like in Ukraine, the only way I could get sweets or sugar was if we scored a can of sweetened concentrated milk, which was hard to score, and then boiled it, and then I would have this can. And it was so much sugar, and it felt so abundant, and I would spend like a week and a half eating it a spoon at a time with bread, that to me, that it like locked itself into this huge thing of abundance. And now, like jokingly, just referred to as crack cocaine. But there's a trapping there of what it means for me to have my crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's obviously not kosher, because that means at the time I'm craving it, I'm feeling not abundant, right?
Right.
And I want to feel abundant.
Right.
And how do you feel abundant? You have a jar of brand new freaking sweetened concentrated milk and caramel form.
Right. Sugar calories. But those specific sugar calories.
Well, it's not even sugar calories, right? But it's the abundance of the size of the can. Obviously, the sugar, like brain effects of sugar, how much high it produces, does play into it. But it's the size of the can that is the possibility of abundance of holding it, seeing it, and eating it with very specific bread, which United States doesn't even have that bread. So like I never had the perfect combination of a fix.
So now there's scarcity around the bread instead of scarce, because we can walk into any supermarket and buy 100 cans of that now.
Well, no, the ultimate hit of that, what it would be, dopamine would be the combination of Ukrainian bread that I used to have with it and the boiled version of the specific brand, right? Because it would be slightly different in America. And I actually bought the specific brand.
It's just gonna expire.
I'm sure it's expired because I bought it many, many years ago. And so it's that brand, that bread, and a spoon, right? It would have to be the spoon that weighs similarly, I guess, to the spoon. Have to probably be the same color, but it's all silver, so that's fine. It's some sort of silver spoon. And the combination of those two will probably send me in some sort of orgasmic state of being that I will just, But it's completely trapped in that lack of abundance set that Ukrainian upbringing had me living in, right? Hence the crack cocaine. I'm assuming when somebody's on crack cocaine, they feel that. I don't know what they feel, but they're probably dead, let's be honest. But at least prior to death, right. They have the highest of the highs.
Good way to go.
Well, right? That might not be the wrong way to go. Better than fentanyl, probably, right?
Right. I don't know.
As long as it's quick, I guess, as long as you're not suffering, unless the goal for the soul is to come here and die some sort of terrible death and suffering, which I don't know. That's a whole other, right? Like we say all this stuff, but like obviously above the clouds, all of this is a choice into experience.
Right.
So like all of the suffering, all of the points of Porsches and not Porsches and hairy wife and not hairy wives.
Going up and down the rivers.
It's just, it's just a choice into experience.
Right.
And then sooner or later, this point of repivot where you start to explore your shadow is simply just another choice into knowing thyself, which is a different experience.
It's a different experience. And if you can get to the point where you can view all experiences as beautiful, and whether that's, driving a 911 or whether that's, stubbing your toe, there's magic there.
Yeah. Yeah. Going upstream and being blind to the bacteria-ridden poop flow and then going downstream Is that right? If I'm using the term even right?
You're backwards.
Sure, whatever. Right. And then like plowing through your shadow is still a choice. And both of those, even though both of them are difficult in their own way, they're very much different because over here you're denying your truth, and so therefore you feel the pain. And over here you're trying to acknowledge the truth, so you're feeling your pain. But both of them are still you choosing to know yourself, even though it hurts. And then sooner or later you realize, well, that's an experience within itself. Both of them, right? Yin and yang combined, right? This poop scenario that we have just designed is just yin and yang, and we're combining the yin and yang into the super flush.
Super flush.
Super flush.
It's like a poop NATO.
Sure, it's right, but you super flush it, and eventually you're like, it's just all light. Like quite literally, when I say love and light, I don't mean like love and light. I mean like, no, wow, just self, the most beautiful self, facilitating and enjoying all experiences of oneness, which is where love is. Like you see all of it through this lens of love.
Yeah.
But you have to start on this journey of combining the poop flows into this beautiful experience to even be able to see your life as beautiful in the pain and in the suffering. But I would bet that does not happen until you start going into the shadow. I don't think you would see life beautiful while you're in pain if you're not willing to face your shadow.
It's hard to see it as beautiful when you're in pain. It really is. But there is a mental shift that I'm not always successful, but I've been better at it lately. That it's like, oh, yeah, this sucks. This objectively sucks, but maybe it just subjectively sucks. And it's just like, there's some sort of beauty in that.
Yeah.
Which it's hard to see sometimes. I get it. But the more you can see that, the better life is.
Yeah. I've exhausted the topic.
Rivers of Poop.
Hmm?
Is that the title? Rivers of Poop?
No, I mean, I would choose something a little bit more.
We don't want to turn off all the viewers.
But it's okay to know that is how it feels, right?
Yeah.
Like it's okay to admit, okay, this feels like crap, literally. And it's counterproductive. It feels counterproductive to make yourself feel like crap more. And because we have been running away from feeling like crap, going towards more feeling like crap feels counterproductive. Yeah. But the more you go towards crap and the more density you free up, the more mini flushes you have, you're like, oh, wow, it feels great to finally accept myself as I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless. Like, and I know that's like impossible to say if you're still going over there with the bacteria flow, right? But it is freeing to finally accept yourself. There's no downside to it.
Right. Right.
It's not rainbows and butterflies. It hurts. It's dense. It's stinky. But like, it is still you loving yourself. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's the super flush. And it just happens. Like, I know you and I have not super flushed yet, and we just have all these mini flushes. But like you could see that is where it's going. There's so much more energy that is being freed up that eventually you're like, right now I'm at the point, like, I don't even care if there's such thing as a super flush. And all the mini flushes that I have, it is already love. The stink, the density, the poop, the knowing, the not knowing, it is all beauty. And then I find beauty in experiencing the pain and then going, oh, look, there you are again in preschool, throwing blocks at yourself, right?
Yeah.
Causing yourself pain. And you're like, oh, wow. It would have, on this side, it would have been like, oh my gosh, it really hurts. But on this side, it's like, oh, look at that. Yep. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.